pizza one night and said we could do what these guys are doing. So we opened our own business. And I'm an emotional person, and Tony is what we call an analytical. And if you ever look at his spreadsheets or his, everything is documented. And we were so compatible because I can do things he couldn't do, but he did many more things that I couldn't do. And our personalities were completely different, as Mary Ann knows, but we really complemented each other well and built a wonderful business. When we sold the business, we were going to stay on for 5 years. We had a 5-year contract. And they came and did a post-acquisition audit a year later. And there were 26 things they wanted fixed. Now, Tony ran operations, and I ran sales. 25 of the 26 items were operational, and 1 was sales that needed to be fixed. I think Tony resigned that after, and that was the end of it. Some facts about Tony you may not know. In the Air Force, he had a nickname because he was a pretty good card player, and he would do okay. And he was Italian, and they nicknamed him the Golden Anchovy. Who the hell has ever been called the Golden Anchovy? So he is the one and only. He loved sports, even though he wasn't the greatest athlete. But he loved golf and he loved basketball. When his family moved from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, to Chicago, he went and tried out for the high school basketball team. Now, in 1958, he went to school at Marshall High School in Chicago. And if anybody knows Marshall High School, it's predominantly African American. They had won 2 state championships in a row. And Tony was in the bleachers putting on his kids' sneakers, and the first 10 guys came and dunked the ball. I said, "What did you do?" He said, "I put my sneakers back in the bag." So Tony was always very sharp at doing the right things at the right time. I told the story to Tony and Tony Jr. The other day on the phone. One thing I always regretted with Tony, when you see somebody every day for 20 years, you're going to have good times and you're going to have some rough patches. And we used to argue pretty good. And we got into an argument probably over nothing important, I don't remember. And he said to me, he says, "Ellis, you're like a brother to me." And I said in a very snarky tone, "I've got brothers, I don't need another one, you're nothing but my partner." And I stormed out the door. So I told him that story the Monday before he passed, and he didn't even remember, but I've been carrying that guilt with me for 30 damn years. So he was a very forgiving natured person. He wasn't one to hold a grudge. And the 70s and 80s, he stood up at my wedding, one of them. I'll tell you a golf story. I've got so many stories. If anybody wants to, if you yell out a subject, I probably have a story. But a cute one, as our business grew, we were wined and dined by a lot of corporations. So when you see Tony on those jets, that's how he would get picked up at O'Hare Field in a private jet, and they'd wing us off to some wonderful golf resort where we would hack up the course. And, we never totally felt comfortable in that environment, though. I can tell you that this is Tony's environment. Every day, living, having fun, not the country club set. And he did belong to a country club, but I always thought he was like a pork chop at a bar mitzvah. So anyway, one time, Johnson's Wax puts us on a jet plane and flies us to Jack Nicklaus's home course in Muirfield, Ohio. So at the time, we had a couple dollars to spend. We weren't wealthy by any stretch of the imagination, and we wanted to get a movie camera for the business. And we could write it off to the business, but really he wanted to take pictures of you guys. So we decided after strong diligent studying that Sony Beta was the way to go. Because Sony Beta will always be around and VHS is going to crash. So we get this camera and we're going to take it to Muirfield. So now we're with a group of guys, maybe 16 of us all told. And Tony says, I'll take pictures of you guys golfing. So he takes the camera and he takes pictures of us golfing. But it shows that after he took our pictures, he sets the camera down on its side but didn't turn it off. So Tony tees off, and it shows Tony getting out of the cart, and the action went something like this. He gets out of the cart, he looks around, and he kicks the ball from out of bounds back inbound. Now he doesn't know he's on camera. So that night, they, after a few drinks and everything, we sit down to watch TV and watch, hey, let's watch the videos. And Tony got caught red-handed. He was so embarrassed. But nobody was mad at him because we all did the same thing. It was no big deal. But these pictures brought back so many great memories. And I made the comment that life is fleeting. You know, if you can take somebody's life and put it into a 15-minute video, when you know there's much more to it than that. And something I never got to tell them, but it's okay to say. I love you, man.